You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. And again, I'm tweeting the poll, so just hang on. I'm not ignoring you. Producer Clark is in the bunker. How you doing, Clark?
Pretty good. Feels good to be out here again. I was having a good day. Today's been a great day.
I know it has.
We had a great pre-show meeting, which always sets the day off on the right foot.
Because DuPont wasn't here.
DuPont wasn't here to buzz around and break us up. And then every video caller was good.
Has been great.
And that always makes me feel pretty good.
Lynch was normal.
Lynch was normal. Well, his shirt was...
Were you glad that I told him to?
Yeah, Jordan actually. Shout out to Jordan. He zoomed his camera up a little bit when his belly was hanging out there. So we got that handled. Oh, I got to lift my ball cap up.
Yeah, John O'Flynn in Vancouver says, Clark, need to see your baby blues. Lift that ball cap up a wee bit. I call him the third Sedin.
Yeah,
the third Sedin.
I've told you my Chris Cuthbert story, right?
Which one?
So I used to do room service at the Delta Hotel, and Chris Cuthbert was here for CFL week. And I delivered room service to his room, and he said, hold up, you look like a Sedin. And I said, oh, well, I've heard that, thank you. And he's like, can I take a picture of you?
Come on.
And I was like, yeah, sure. I don't know who he sent it to, but I never got famous for it or anything. Didn't hit Twitter.
You got a story, though.
Yeah. So,
well, obviously, you bartended there.
Yeah, bartender.
And you did room service.
Yeah.
So the two most famous people that I know that you ran into are now Chris Cuthbert and Clark Gillies.
Clark Gillies, yeah.
Who else? Any famous singers?
Yeah, Bon Jovi stayed there.
Come on. Did you meet him?
I saw him. He had pretty tight security on him, but we took all their bags up to the floor, and then
That's
they
sweet.
had security. The Junos were here the one year, so like Jacob Hogart from Headley was there. Serena Ryder was there. I met Justin Bieber's choreographer on the night of the Boston Marathon bombing, and that guy's from Boston, so he was walking us through where all the streets were.
Oh, wow!
That night was insane. But for everybody,
it's very interesting, by the way. I'm just going to interject with a comment from a viewer. Brent Kuhlman says, must be Friday. Rod didn't go off on Nelson for spelling a name wrong. LOL. Anyway, thanks for another great week. See you Monday for the Sim Games. Well, don't leave us yet, Brent.
Yeah, we still got like 10 minutes.
Yeah, lots of time left here. This is actually going to get real fun, so I suggest you don't click X and get out. Don't do it. I did work in a hotel for 3 months, and it was the worst 3 months of my life in terms of being outside the sports and entertainment industry. And I was like 19. Mm-hmm. I really hated it. But you've talked nothing but fondly about your time.
I loved it.
At the Hotel Saskatchewan.
Yeah, it was a great time. We had a great staff, and we had a lot of fun there. It was at the Delta, right? So that's the hotel in Regina. If any event comes, it's pretty much either the Delta or the Hotel Sask. So we got a lot of big-name people coming through there, and you got to know some of the regulars at overtime that would stay there every week for business, and they literally stayed there every week, so they'd almost become like your neighbor almost.
That's cool.
You see them every shift, so we had a lot of good times in there, made some really good friends who are still, couple of them were in my wedding party, so... we had
Seems like a very close staff because we had a deal with Famoso. You were gone by then, but we would have with their staff coming over all the time. Our restaurant was a block away. So
for sure.
Colin in Ottawa says, did Clark see the tribute that the Mets did to honor the passing of their franchise's best ever player, Tom Seaver? Each player rubbed dirt on their pants at their right knee. And what else does he say? As Seaver's slow driving delivery made sure that he never had clean pants. Right? He got down so low.
Got low, yeah.
What did you think of... Everybody's talking about Tom Seaver. Look, I had all his cards. He was a Major League Baseball icon.
Yeah.
I'm not shedding a tear over it, however. Were you shaken up by it? You're too young to remember Tom Seaver.
I hate to say it, guys. Tom Seaver was before my time.
Way before you were even born. He retired before you were born.
Yeah, he wasn't in my wheelhouse, but I'm glad that they did do that. I'm glad that they had that tribute for him because I know the name. He's obviously a huge name, so it's good that they kind of honored his legacy a little bit.
Well, like you say, he's a big deal with the outpouring.
Yeah.
Of what there's been, by the way. I got to ask you a question about Joanne Brescison.
Sure.
And I was on Nick Lewis's podcast yesterday, and he totally caught me off guard with a question.
Ooh.
He goes, Rod, this is in the interview. He goes, why do the players love you so much? And I said, I need you to explain. What are you talking about? And he goes, well, the guys that are coming on your show. He goes, I'm talking to everybody, current CFL players, ex-CFL players, they just love you. Why is that? I said, I didn't know that they did.
Yeah.
But you're the one reaching out to them. And I did explain this. When we started doing these interviews with all the Rider alumni, a guy like Stevie Baggs resonated with Bomber fans and Stamps fans and Ticats fans, and John Chick resonated with Ticats fans and Edmonton fans, right? So that was not by design.
No.
That just happened.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way, this became the show for for the players.
Yeah. I think originally when we first started the show a year and a half ago now, it's flown by the way.
I know.
Shout out to all the P1s who are still here from day one.
And grown.
Yeah. It's, we started at a point where we wanted to bring on people who would bring on nostalgia. So players who fans used to watch years ago or recently that they loved. And we had a really good run of that. And then once the season kind of got rolling, we started to kind of squeeze in a few current players. It wasn't easy because our schedule is tough with practices and stuff. But we ended up getting a couple players mid-season. And then once the season was over, we just said, hey, let's just go hard. We started making really good friends with the teams like the Lions, the Argos, the
Alouettes.
Edmonton football team.
Sorry. Ding!
The Alouettes, yeah. So we started making friends with all these teams, and their PR people have been great in dealing with to get the coaches, the players. And because of that, we just said, well, let's just keep going. It was like the Forrest Gump moment. Might as well just keep on going. So we just
run, Clark, run.
We just kept getting these guys on, and it kind of became the show for the player's voice and the coach's voice. And I've been proud of that, and I think you've been proud of that too. And just the fact that we've really become a place where the staff and the players can come on and feel comfortable to say what they want to say, what they need to say. And like Justin Renfro, for example, came on and told us that heart-wrenching story of racism that he's experienced. So we're an open platform for these guys to say what they want to say, and I think they appreciate that as much as we appreciate them doing it.
Right, and there's nobody else providing them that. But I also said to Nick, there's just not really anybody talking about the CFL period right now. And let's be honest, even if the season was on, Clark, you grew up with the CFL just like I did. The only time you're getting CFL talk is during the games. Labor Day Classic weekend. If they were playing this week, TSN would come on at 5 Mountain. Kickoff would be at 5:07. It's a 7-minute pregame show. It should be all day.
Right.
So there's just not... They just scaled back. And I don't know if it's cutbacks or what it is in the major markets, but we'll sit here and talk about it all day. And I'm starting to get excited for the next CFL because I can kind of see it on the other side of this bridge. And I think Benefield will be a huge part of it. So my question to you out of all of that is, where do you see this going as a CFL?
From the league
just
point of view?
Everything. What is it going to look like when we come back?
We talked about it a little bit before the show even started today, but like you just said, the CFL is in a point, I think personally, and I've said this even before the show started, so I'm not trying to be biased here that our show is doing anything too crazy, but we're doing very good at what we do. But the CFL has been at a point now for years where it's very very minimalistic in terms of their coverage, and whether that's TSN or the CFL, it's not for me to say, but the NFL, if you look at the NFL, and David Benefield has told us this on the show, it's a marketing machine. They drive the fact home that daily shows, they tell you every roster move. They tell you every injury before the team even announces it. They tell you who's going to be hot and who's not, and who's going to emerge and who's the next big star before they're even in the league. You see NCAA just blowing up every year, and the hype of Trevor Lawrence, who's going to be this year's first overall pick, started 2 years ago that he was going to be the first overall pick. And unfortunately for the CFL, and Nick Lewis and I have talked about this, he probably has talked about with you too, the CFL draft, you're finding out who the guys are as they're picked. You don't know their names, and maybe that's our own fault. Maybe that's as fans, maybe that's our fault that we don't know enough about these guys. But there's no coverage outside of game day coverage, and it's just there needs to be more, and hopefully we can be a part of that. I think we're kind of cementing ourselves as part of that, but there needs to be more, and hopefully that's part of the next CFL.
Well, and you, when I say worked in the Ryder front office, you were an intern, right?
Paid intern?
Paid intern,
yeah.
Similar to what we're doing with our guys here.
Sure.
If we're not paying Alan, don't tell him.
Bought my wife's wedding ring with my Ryder money.
Are you serious?
Thanks, Riders.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it was good.
People are calling in with what TSN should do for the CFL, and I guess they could. Or we could sit over here and we could talk about it, and don't worry about what TSN's doing. Right. Don't forget about that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're doing over here on Game Plus. Chris in Toronto says CFL Films. Chris, go to rodpedersen.com as soon as we go off the air and read David Benefield's op-ed on the CFL, where it lost its way. It's the number one point that he made is CFL Films. So we are at this critical time. What a time, frankly, to go into this little analysis.
Can I tell you a story about that, exact where you're going? Me and Jordan were just talking about this. Can you imagine if we would have started our show this year? How different our show would have been?
I'm glad we didn't.
I know. It's just crazy to think about that. We've been on a year and a half, and we would have been we started June 3rd last year. So if that would have happened this year, we would have started with no CFL to talk about, no NHL to talk about.
Well, we're going into Labor Day Classic weekend with no classics. We're just going into Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. The Canada West season would have kicked off as well. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah.
But there is no Canada West football. There is no Canadian Football League play this weekend. And when you talked about the lack of injury information,
right,
we're sitting on the precipice of an opportunity. I'm seeing what the CFL is facing right now in the season cancellation, not as a tragedy. I'm seeing it as an opportunity.
Definitely.
And when you talk about the injuries, we've all worked in and around those front offices forever. You know how closely guarded they are. And the National Football League, you can't get away with it. The CFL has just, for whatever reason, and I'm not interested in pointing fingers, but they've gone so far down that road of shadiness and misinformation and lying, quite frankly. Here's a chance to start right over.
Absolutely. And I hope they do. I really hope they do. They've locked their doors. And I think in recent years, if you talk to a lot of fans, they've noticed and they feel it. And it's not as inclusive as it was 10, 15 years ago when I was really getting into it. So here's hoping that they see that and they have somebody in their offices that also sees that, and open your doors. Like, be more inclusive, involve the fans more, and they're going to feel it. They'll feel the engagement.
Well, and the thing is, you talk about that now that they're letting people go.
Right.
They're furloughing them. They're terminating them. So who's going to end up being left? And I want to make it very clear, the last point. People think that I'm sitting here banging on the CFL thinking that I hate it, or the Benefield's column this morning was anti-CFL. It's not. We love it so much. We see where it could be, where it's been years ago, and where it is now. And it's not trashing Randy Ambrosie. My Lord, how many times have we had Randy on this show in this time? The league office has been nothing, and particularly him, but gracious and classy to us.
Awesome.
Talk about the way they deal with you.
Yeah, every time we reached out, and this was right when we were kind of beginning again, we had Randy on within our first few months of the show, and we were all out here cheering and hooting and hollering because we were proud of that and that we got him on, and we were making inroads. And every time we've asked them, they've been gracious. And obviously lately with a lot going on, it's been just very busy for those guys, and it's been tougher. And the furloughs. So it's been tough recently, but outside of that, they've always answered our calls and they've always been gracious to have people on. And even when Randy wasn't available, we got Jeff Creever that one time. We got Chris O'Leary. That was all through the CFL office. We got Scott Milanovic on at the CFL winter meeting.
They set it all up, yeah.
So, I mean, Lucas, shout out to Lucas at the CFL office. They've always been great, so you can't complain there.
Well, and I'll end it on this. Gary in Winnipeg says, I would have left for Regina later today for the game. First Labor Day weekend in Winnipeg in 38 years that he's stayed home.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to try and help you out with that. 1 p.m. Mountain, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, CFL Sim. Don't laugh. We're going to have a blast. 4 p.m. Mountain, Calgary, Edmonton. It won the vote for Canada's Game of the Week outside the Sask Winnipeg game. Anything you want to say about that before we leave?
It's tough because 1 year ago today we were setting up our Celebrity All-Star football game.
Yes.
We were getting ready for that. We were making last-minute calls, last-minute roster additions. I remember that vividly. It feels like it wasn't that long ago. We were setting up our outdoor show across the street at the Armory. We had our first ever outdoor show in front of a live audience there. So it's just crazy to think about that was a year ago right now. And miss it. It's tough.
It was a big weekend. Would have been a really good weekend.
Yeah.
So try and cheer up everybody. And I guess Do you want to drop any news about your latest project, or
Sure.
you want to wait?
Yeah, you're cool with that?
Of course.
So everybody watching, if you're friends with me on Facebook, which a lot of our P1s have added me on Facebook, it's great. But we're working on something right now with the show under the Rod Pedersen umbrella. And it's a lot of, I saw somebody earlier say Clark needs to be on camera more.
There you go.
We're working on it. So we're working on something called the SquadCast. So obviously you guys are the Rod Squad. I'm part of the background Rod Squad, the crew, and summer student Mad Max has been driving some initiatives, and one of them is to do a secondary show, and it's going to be on Monday nights. And we got a lot to work on still, but that's a little bit of a teaser that we're going to do a bit of a show that we're going to dive deep on things that we may have missed on the show, or go further on things that we talked about on the show. We're going to have guests just like we do on this show. We're going to have a similar format. It'll be 1 hour in length, and I'll be hosting it with our summer student Mad Max. And
You got to get Alan Lee on, the Asian
Alan,
sensation.
if he's available, he's so busy recently with school.
Alan, we need you on.
So it's going to be a bit of like an AHL farm team feel. It's a training grounds, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. We'll have some interesting guests on. We'll analyze some things, and it's just a chance for us to add a little bit of an extra content and have some fun with it.
The SquadCast.
The SquadCast. And we'll have some, if you follow us on our new Twitter and Instagram accounts, the Team RP Show accounts, we'll have some more announcements with that in the next week.
I already love the logo with Ricky the Iguana.
Yeah, just wait for that.
Ricky's going to be the star of 2020. You wait.
Just wait.
Okay, Clark, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Back into your cage.
Okay. You're right. Oh, there he is.
There he is. All right. Happy Labor Day weekend, everybody. Make it happy. And we'll see you Tuesday. Oh, I need my pen.
You gonna throw something?
Why did I put it away? I'll see you Tuesday, right? No show Monday?
Yeah, no show Monday, CFL Sim Monday.
Sim 1 and 4, and then we'll see you Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain right here on Facebook Live.
A little low.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.